Okay, so looking at this inspection, we can see there's a substantial amount of material being taken out of the joists, and it's more or less approaching the sort of middle span of the joist. It's within the first half, and it's a little bit concerning structurally. I mean, the amount of material they've removed, because if we track to the side, there is actually more notching. You can see more notching together with that waste pipe. So that's the 1.5 inch. Sizing is correct, but structurally very naughty what they've done here. It's not a massive slope as well. There's not a big gradient on this basin pipe, which is 1.25 inch, and that section of the waste pipe on the shower trap is running uphill. So there's a issue there. Okay, so this is the bathroom and what I've inspected downstairs, which is one of the biggest no-nos, and it's a common occurrence where we have the joist running from front to back of the building. We've got a huge gash taken out of the middle to run the basin waste. So it's dropped down in that wall and it's gone across, and they've gone and done that with the shower waste as well, taking a huge gash out of the joists in the center of this span. So that's what I've inspected downstairs. Now, rather than compromising the structural integrity of this floor, what I would have done would have been to see, right, we have something here where we can hide our waste pipe. So I would have chiseled out the brickwork on 1.25 inch, and I would have taken it behind this bath area, and there's plenty of room to be clipped all the way along that bath, and I would have core drilled a hole and taken it straight out of the building. And that would have been an independent drain line. What we're finding here is also, not only that they compromise the joists, it's actually teed in to that, which is perfectly acceptable. But when you have a choice to run it independently, that's my favored way of doing it. So I'm just going to show you what I mean by connecting waste pipes into the same line. So we've got basin connected into the same line as the shower tray. Just going to pull the plug on that. Let's have a look here. It's probably giving a little bit of siphoning action here. It's not that bad, I mean, but over time, it's right at the last bit when it pulls the air through. See the way that's dropping? Okay, as you can see, it's a real poor attempt at trying to rectify the waste pipe here, which I think was up there going uphill, so they came back and they tried to rectify this. And because they've got no understanding of, how to fit waste pipes, they've just caked this all up with some CT1 or equivalent, because they're just worried about the water coming through. So, I mean, that's what the customer was experiencing, water coming through onto the drawer. I mean, to get around the problem of that siphonage, probably we could put like a AAV on here or a built-in air admittance on the bottle trap. So I might look into that just to let some breathing happen on the pipe. Right, we can also see the cabinet could possibly come off of the wall here as well, because they've just cracked the tile here. I don't know whether this looks like it's been grouted afterwards, and I think they've spaced the brackets out so far apart that they've just forced it on top, and then what's happened is it's opened the back support there. So they've been a very heavy-handed with this. Right, so looking at the radiator, there's a chrome fitting there, and that one there isn't, so I don't know what the hell that is. They've also chewed up the nut here, or scuffed it with their adjustable spanners. Clearly they haven't adjusted them, so they've damaged the fitting there. Right, clearly this bath is not the right size for this area, and if you're going to attempt something like this where you've got a gap left and right, you shouldn't be using a tile like this to fill in the difference. And if you are going to fill in the difference, the best thing to do is to try and bridge over this with maybe like a slab or something, so that you don't have water pooling in this area. There's no set way to do it, but they haven't thought about this because they've just got flush grout joints here where water is just going to get in. You can already see it cracking here, so it's really unplanned, and it's just really bad thinking that's gone into this. No thought whatsoever. So with these metro tiles as well, they're incredibly difficult to silicone, and you should only do this if you're a professional, you've had plenty of practice, but you can see how poor it is. And the other thing is also there's a lot of efflorescence here in the grout where it's overwashed. You're getting some whiteness coming through, discoloration, it's overwashing. And I mean, if you want to get around this problem, which happens a lot, really is to sort of give the wall time to basically dry out. You've just got to time it right. So in regards to the grout, where you can see the discoloration of the grout, that is down to either not mixing correctly in terms of powder and water ratio, or simply overwashing the grout, where you've got water just running down the walls and you're just flooding the walls. So you end up getting that problem, because this is something to do with also the Portland cement. You can buy a brand called Keracol Fugabella, which is a resin cement, and that will stop this happening. Right, toilet seems to be at about 17.5, 18. It's on the high side, but I don't think that's too much of a big issue. Some customers actually like that, so we'll let them off there. But details in terms of any bath panel should never be attempted to be made flush with the front lip. As you can see, they've gone flush, and you can see all the cracking. Every bath panel will crack to some degree, but the whole point of lipping it in is so that you can run a nice silicone bead, and when you're standing, you do not see it. But sadly, you can see that clearly. Right, other thing is, you've got to be wary of these areas, tight areas. A lot of people, they butt furniture up very close to glass or another piece of sanitary where you just can't get a cloth in there just to clean, and you get all dust and toothpaste and water dripping down there. This doesn't look too bad. I think I never go tighter than 3 inches. That's my sort of general rule. Right, I mean, in regards to level of detail and finishing, is extremely poor here. You can see where they've just added this piece in and put some filler. can see here. So just in terms of aesthetics, really poor. Just don't really understand what they should have done here was to raise this so that it was actually flush with this, or even sitting higher. Because ideally you do want a full piece sitting on the bath, which they've done, but they should have planned that area better. That doesn't work well in my eyes aesthetically. What they should have done was also take out this and then raised this area to get round this problem. Okay, so the join is not flush at all. Right, we have a very skinny sliver here, which is very unattractive. It's one of the worst things you can do as well, is putting your shower tray so close up to the architrave where you have to take a notch out. It just looks very ugly. I don't know how much silicone is actually sealing the outside of the track. If they haven't done that properly, this MDF ends up swelling and rotting, because this is the the area that's notorious for leaks. This join to this and this area here. So okay, so if we continue on here, I can see they've used clear silicone and they've just pumped it all in. And this is one of the biggest no-nos in any renovation, is to seal your shower on the inside. One of the biggest problems with doing this is when you're showering, the water finds its way inside, and it will find its way inside from this area here or another joint somewhere, and it will begin to build up in the track. And once it builds up, it finds its way through the back and then downstairs. Right, now shower plates against grout lines. You can see that this is hairline out of level, but it's very apparent. I don't know if you can say that customer can actually see that she's had issues with that, and they've also not sealed the top, so we've got potential ingress of water happening there. And again, poor siliconing carried out. In regards to this rad, really, it should be perfectly central to this bath, and it's not, so it's more closer to the wall there. Right, I've checked the levels. The shower screen actually is not bad how they've installed it. It's pretty level, so that's one plus. It does shut nice, and the tray is pretty much spirit level, so they've got that right. But inside here there's no silicone, and you can see they've injected blobs of it behind the track, and that's something that you don't do. If you are going to inject some silicone, just over the screw holes. But here it's just a huge gap there, because if we ever need to get this enclosure off, it's glued so heavily to the tiles, it'll end up getting damaged, and we'll have to buy a new enclosure, and potentially tiles will come off. Just one thing that I also spotted was that's not going in fully. I think one of the rods needs to be cut in there. So that's another problem that I've managed to spot. But the customer also, going back to this, is saying that there is water coming through there, and she has actually sent a video of me showing that. Right, if you look at that plasterboard on the bath, and the overflow, look at that huge dip in that overflow. If that bath ever flowed, it wouldn't. If that bath ever overflowed, it would never ever drain out quick enough, and you'd have water cascading over the edge of this bath. So that's a big no-no. And also this plasterboard, they've probably used plasterboard there as well,